You're staying in Bel Air? Oh.
My uncle, yeah. About 7 or 8. I yelled to the cabbie, go home, see you later. Looked to my kingdom, I was finally there. Sit on my throne. As the Prince of London.
Really? No. Okay, I feel like everything you say is not true. Is that true?
Sarcasm. A lot of sarcasm. But it was actually just the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air opening scene, or whatever they call it.
Of the whole show?
Yeah, that was the song from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Was he yelled to the cabbie, you're home, smell you later. That's my king. So.
Do you have your glasses?
Yes, but I'm not wearing the sunglasses.
Guys, the glasses are gone. Okay.
The glasses are gone. I got told to look like Elton John.
I feel like that's a good thing. No. Guys, no.
Not for me. I mean, I've never looked at... Great guy, obviously, amazingly talented. I wish I had his talent, but I'm not sure Elton John is what I'm going for with the look.
Looks-wise.
Yeah.
That's
no disrespect. Like, certain people would like Elton John's look. But I think I look more like David Furnish, his husband.
Wait, I need to see a picture of him.
I'll find a picture of David Furnish after this.
Ready for this? Okay. What's going on, everyone? It's Aaliyah Orozco reporting with Title Sports Network out here in beautiful Los Angeles, where I am joined now with the one and only Frank Smith. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? There's a lot more of us. There's a lot of Frank Smiths, by the way.
Oh, is
I'm
there?
not the one and only.
Why? Why not? I think you are. But you are the one and only.
Got the most boring name in the world, Frank John Smith. It's the most British boring name you could imagine.
Wait, did you ask your mom why she put John as your middle name?
It was my grandfather's name. Oh. But I can still say Frank John Smith is possibly one of the most boring names you could. I'm thinking about changing my surname, mixing it up.
Oh, okay. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I just think there's a lot of Smiths. I'm going to come up with something new.
Okay, but you got to keep us tuned on that.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Would you ever change your first name? Because I feel like that's more heard of.
I think like a Francisco or something.
Oh, why don't we give you a nickname?
No, I was going to be Francisco, and I'm going to learn Spanish, but Spanish with like a Mexican twang.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm joined now with Francisco Smith. Francisco. Very nice to see you, Francisco. He still doesn't know Spanish yet, do you?
¿Cómo está? Habla mucho español. Mi estudio en mi colegio.
Sí. Wait, you're actually pretty good. Okay, well, how does it feel to be in LA? Do you like coming down here? A little bit of a change of scenery for you?
It beats London.
Really?
Let me tell you that. Yeah, I mean, the sunshine is wonderful. I love LA. It's a great place. I actually could live in LA.
Really? Okay. I haven't been to London, but I just went to Manchester for the first time this year. I really liked it, but I see what you mean. It's more like gloomy a little bit, huh? The weather?
England's a bit gloomy. I love England. I was born there, but LA's for me. I think I could live here.
Guys, you might see Francisco living here pretty soon.
I need to learn a bit more Spanish than just that. That's my stock line, because it sounds like I know what I'm saying, but I actually haven't got a clue.
I love it. Well, how exciting is it for you to be a part of this fight? Bringing the first Riyadh season card to America, to Los Angeles, and Matchroom has a huge part in this.
Yeah, look, very excited. I think you only have to look at what Riyadh season have done to date, what they've done for the sport, and what they're going to continue to do. It's changing the sport. It's bringing people together. It's making fights happen that wouldn't happen. Probably taking ego out and dislike between people that maybe wasn't real. You know, a lot of it was because of this stuff. People would say things about people. People would, create a bit of hate that wasn't really there or wasn't true. But great to be a part of it. And when you look at what Riyadh season have created in other territories already, the shows in Saudi, we've got London coming up as well with Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois. The production levels of it are just on a whole nother level. And what you're going to see at the BMO on Saturday night, with the fight card that's on with Eminem as well, it's going to be special.
Oh, so special. I'm so excited about that performance. So how did this fight get made? What were the talks to make this happen and have so many different promotions involved with this?
Look, I think, Terrence Crawford, obviously, look at what his excellence he's doing in the sport. The fighters, he thinks Terrence Crawford's a tremendous fighter. He is pound for pound, arguably, maybe even number one in the sport. But Israel Madrimov, he went and won that world title. And I think he can do a job on him. But Bomac's walking over now, so I'm going to have to be really quiet. Because I don't want to. I reckon Bomac could headlock me and put me to sleep. But Israel Madrimov is going to go and do a job on him and knock him out.
Put you to sleep in a headlock when I carry that thing with me. I know I do.
Or even in LA. There you go. So But yeah, it's a great fight. I think a lot of people probably overlooking Israel Madrimov because he's had 11 fights. Terrence Crawford, obviously, 40-0,
yeah.
you know, and what he's done in the sport, the people he's been in with. But Madrimov's a special fighter. Like a lot of the Uzbek fighters we work with, you know, amazing amateurs. And, you know, I think he's going to be one of the toughest fights.
Do you think this will be the toughest fight for Terrence Crawford's career thus far?
I think so. I think the size as well. You know, Madrimov, when you look at the size of him, I saw Crawford he was doing his photo shoots in there. He looks in tremendous shape as well. But yeah, I think the size can make a difference as well when you look at where Terrence has come from and later on in his career as well. You know, Israel Madrimov is very fresh, and it's probably the right time for him to be fighting Terrence Crawford.
How does Madrimov beat pound for pound great Terrence Crawford?
Knocks him out.
Knocks him out. Okay, that's what you see for the fight. What round? Or you think it's going to be like slow and then there's going to be later rounds, or no, he's going to get straight to it?
Maybe even the first round, you know.
You are, okay, too much over here. Oh, that's great. So
It's Uzbek power. Uzbek power. I've been around our Uzbek stars for many years now. You know, they're special. But look, it's a tough fight. You know, Terrence Crawford, as I've said, he's an amazing fighter. Again, pound for pound. But don't write off Israel Madrimov.
Exactly.
You know, I think a lot of people, it's a bit like I said, you know, it's a bit like the Canelo Bivol fight, where a lot of people didn't have an understanding of who Dimitri Bivol was, you know, outside of the broader, you know, hardcore fans knew, but people maybe would have written off Bivol in that fight because they didn't have the platform, he didn't have the name back then, but he went and did a job on Canelo Alvarezz. Anything's possible in this sport. It's what makes it great. You know, and this can change Israel Madrimov's life.
Exactly. If he wins the fight on Saturday night, is there a rematch clause in place?
No. He's obviously world champion as well. You know, Israel's the reigning WBA world champion, but no rematch clause, and there's big fights to be made.
Most definitely. So what do you see being his advantage then come Saturday night?
I think his strength and power and size. You know, like I say, where Terrence has come up in size, you know, look, he's a tremendous boxer, but I think that can be Israel's benefits in coming into this fight.
Most definitely. And what are, a little bit taking it back to what we were talking about with Turki Al-Sheikh, what are your thoughts on him kind of trying to do what the UFC's doing and put everybody under one umbrella? What do you think that would look like, and is that something you're excited about or would think would be good for the sport?
Yeah, look, I think anything that can grow the sport of boxing. For too long, fights haven't been made in the sport because of, like I say, egos, people coming together, dislike between people. Again, a lot of it artificial because of the stuff that's said across here. And I think if we can make real fights that people are interested in, it's only going to grow the sport for the long term, you know. And I think what His Excellency has done is tremendous, and will continue to do. And he also has a huge passion for the sport. He actually loves the sport, which is the big difference. It's not just a business; it's about making fights that people want to see. He's a boxing fan, and he looks at fights and goes, "That him v him," you know, because he is a boxing fan. And don't get me wrong, money is important, but the sport will grow and benefit in the long term as well off the back of this.
Most definitely. Are there any other changes from your perspective that you think need to be made in boxing or Turki has been discussing? I've heard maybe a potential rumor of him discussing kind of judging boxing differently, of almost like it not being just straight away with judges, but like a system. I don't really know, but just have you guys been in the talks about any other upgrades? Like, of course, the promoters, like we just discussed.
Yeah, look, I think that boxing can improve. Boxing is very much behind the times. When you compare it to other sports in today's age, it's behind the times in a lot of ways. You know, officials, if we can improve, you know, you see some of these results and these scorecards, and they ruin people's lives. You know, fighters who could change their life, but it's ripped away by incompetence. So how can we improve that? How can we have developed that? I think there's a lot of work that can be done with sanctioning bodies. I think coming together with some kind of global organisation, and look, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of investment. It's not an easy job. I wouldn't want to like run it. But in terms of, I'm not just talking about the commercial side of boxing, I'm talking about the, you know, whether it's doping, whether it's the control of the sport as a whole. I think there's something massive that can be done there and can grow and build the sport and make it easier to understand. I work in boxing for the last 15 years. There's certain things I don't understand. There's too many belts. There's too many organisations. Like, there's too much confusion. So it's very difficult to grow and build a sport to a more casual audience when there's all this confusion. Like, it's great having that hardcore audience who know every little detail, but that's a very small percentage. And if we want to take this sport and keep building it and growing it to the next level, we need to make it simple to understand. I also think in boxing, my personal, I'm not a hardcore boxing fan. Like, I like sport, I like being entertained.
Yeah.
And I think boxing historically is too long. You know, like nights are too long. There's no way. How do you keep someone that? What other sport goes on for 6 or 7 hours on a night? You know, and that may be disagreed by a lot of people, by the way, by a lot of promoters as well. But I'm not your traditional hardcore. I'm more about the business, the casual audience, and how we build it. So yeah, my views may not be shared by everyone, but that's just my opinion.
I think it's so important that, like you said, bringing in those casual viewers, because it is hard. There's so much like history and to follow with the sport that if you just watch it, you would have like no idea really. Well, I love that. Thank you so much. And this is a stacked card. That's what I've really been most excited about. Like, I feel like almost all these fights on the undercard really could be a pay-per-view, a main card event, which is exciting to all have in one place. What undercard fight are you looking forward to most this weekend, and why?
Like you say, it's stacked top to bottom. I think the fight I'm really excited for is Jared Anderson against Martin Bakole. And I'm actually surprised Jared Anderson took it, because no one wants to fight Martin Bakole. You know, that's a real fight. And I think Martin Bakole can come in and shock a lot of people. Andy Ruiz, Jarrell Miller. You know, we saw Jarrell Miller out against Daniel Dubois last time. Did not, you know, he doesn't stop coming for a man of his size. And Andy Ruiz, he's had a long time out of the ring. Great fight there. David Morrell's back out. Our guy Andy Cruz as well is on the card. Isaac Pitbull Cruz, who's built a huge following and, you know, is loved. So, like, stacked from top to bottom. And on top of that, on Wednesday night, you got that free show, you know, Santa Monica Pier, the workout with Shakram Giyasov, who's #1 in the WBA rankings. You've got Nathan Lugo and Mark Castro headlines the show as well, another one of our guys. So, you know, it's a big week of fights. And I think, as Eddie said, and a number of people have said, the biggest week for US boxing in terms of when you look at the whole show. Don't get me wrong, there's huge main events in the US, but when you look at the show as a whole, the fighters on, the quality of the show, you know, you don't see anything like this. And then when you add the level of production that Riyadh season will deliver with it, it's going to be a special night.
Yes, most definitely. Let's talk a little bit more about the Andy Ruiz versus Jarrell Miller fight. How do you see that one going?
I think that Jarrell Miller beats Andy Ruiz.
Really?
But I love Andy Ruiz, by the way. I've got a good relationship with Andy Ruiz. I just think the lack of activity for Andy Ruiz is going to be a real struggle. He hasn't boxed in so long, has he? Unless I'm missing
2 years.
something.
It's been 2 years. Almost 2 years.
And I think that makes such a difference. You only have to look at the form that certain heavyweights have been on. Like, look at Anthony Joshua. And I think momentum and activity is key for that. And I think that's going to be a struggle for Andy Ruiz, honestly. But I'd love it. I'd love to see Andy Ruiz win, because he's a character. You know, he's a big name in the sport. But I think it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, that ring rust, overcoming that, most definitely.
But I might be completely wrong, and everyone on there will go, he's absolutely clueless, and they'd be quite correct.
What about the Isaac Pitbull Cruz fight?
Pitbull Cruz.
Yeah?
Yeah. I like Pitbull Cruz. Great to watch.
His last fight was like, that was a good one.
Yeah. No, I think him. I think, like I say, Bakole can beat Jared Anderson as well. Excited to see David Morrell as well. You know, so it's a great card, top to bottom. And like I said, Andy Cruz, who's a special fighter.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we signed back last summer. You know, it's his 4th fight. He's going to have a big year next year as well. But excited to see him back out.
Any updates for the Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois fight, September 21st?
AJ's going to knock out Daniel Dubois. That is my only update.
Around?
Again, 1 to 12, he'll do it.
I love it. Well, I saw that you just had a meeting with Conor Benn. How was that, and any updates on him?
Hopefully, yeah. Look, I met him. He was back in the UK. He's been training in Spain. Hopefully, news soon. You know, this ordeal, or whatever you want to call it, has gone on for a long time now. You know, we're coming up to 2 years. And we just want to get him back in the ring. He's in a great place mentally. He's been through tough times, but I think he knows what he needs to do. He wants to come back in the biggest fights, and hopefully we'll have news soon and aim towards the end of this year, early part of next year.
For Madrimov, you know, he's regarded as one of the best in the division. Do you see him, or has he talked about maybe moving up or down in weight to become like a multi-world champion?
He couldn't move down. I mean, I think he's very much focused on 154. He makes the weight very easy right now. In the future, he'd look at 160, but I think his focus right now is to become, unified champion, and that's what we'll aim to do.
And let's talk a little bit about the Canelo versus Berlanga fight. What are your thoughts on that fight? I know there's kind of been a mix of emotions. I've seen some stuff on social media. Oscar posted a video saying a fight that nobody asked for. I would love to just hear your opinion.
Oscar's just upset that he's not involved in another fight. Oscar is a salty individual. His clapback Thursdays are quite entertaining to watch, but also does speak some shit on there.
Yeah.
Look, Edgar Belanga has worked his way through. When you look at the opponent options as well for Canelo Alvarez, he's boxed everyone really. There's a lot of the talk obviously about Benavidez, but I understand where he's going. He doesn't have to. He's not shied away from anyone throughout his career. He's a superstar in the sport, and he can do what he wants. That's the reality of it, and he will do what he wants. And fair play to him.
Exactly.
Because he's been involved in every fight. He's the biggest star. And look, Edgar Belanga. He's developed. I think he's developed. He's had some tough times, especially came off those knockout streaks and then had a few fights where he wasn't getting the stoppages. But I think he's back on that form. It's going to be a hard fight. Canelo is the pound for pound again, another pound for pound fight. It's not, it's not supposed to be easy. But he's going to go in there and he's going to give it his all. Is he favourite? No, obviously not. But 99% of people going in the ring with Canelo Alvarez aren't the favourite. And Edgar Belanga knows what he needs to do. He's another one. He can change his life. He goes in there and beats Canelo Alvarez. His life changes for good. And what's Edgar Belanga? He's worked his way into this position to get a shot like this. He's not going to miss an opportunity like this. It's a big night, and I think he's going to do a job.
I totally.
I thought he was coming to.
He was ready for you.
Yeah.
Do you?
Going to run.
Who do you see winning that fight, though? Do you got Canelo or Berlanga?
Like I say, it's a difficult fight. It's a very difficult fight. But I'm talking about Edgar Belanga.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm saying it's a very difficult fight for Edgar Belanga. Yeah, sorry. I think Bomac wants to answer it for me. Bomac's made the answer there.
Can we get your answer?
He basically said Canelo all day long.
Canelo all day long is what he said.
But we represent Belanga, and we want him to go next. Again, it's a hard fight, but it's an opportunity. He's not going to miss this opportunity. He's going to go in there and give it all. It is all. And anything's possible in this sport. Anything's possible. And he can shock the world on September 14th.
Why do you think people had so much more to say about Edgar Berlanga getting this opportunity with Canelo over when Jaime Munguia just got it? I know, of course, Jaime Munguia fought John Ryder, and people said he did more than Canelo did or whatever, a different way. But still, they're kind of still in the same boat in some way. Why do you think there's been such a backlash?
Because boxing fans on social media, everyone's an expert. Like you say, there was talk about Edgar Belanga fighting Munguia, and that was a close fight. No one had a problem when Munguia, like you say, got the Canelo fight. Everyone uses an argument, like you can compare this fighter to that fighter. This fighter did this in that fight. That fighter did this in this fight. The reality is, styles make fights, and Edgar Belanga is gonna go in there and give it his everything, But boxing, social media, everyone's got their opinion, rightly so. They can have their opinion. Everyone's an expert, and they use whatever narrative suits them that day. And a lot of people want to put it on Canelo and say you're ducking the Benavidez fight. But again, like I say, he's done everything in his career.
He's earned it.
Yeah,
to be able to be
to decide what he wants to do. Fair play to him. Good luck to him.
Exactly. Like he's not at the start of his career.
And there's many easier fights he could have picked than Edgar Belanga.
No,
don't get me wrong. This is a much higher level than Edgar Belanga has been at. Just like we're talking about Madrimov going in with Terrence Crawford, at a much higher level than Madrimov's ever been in with. But what are we all doing it for in the sport if you don't want to challenge yourself and go in there against the best?
Yeah. Do you think we'll end up seeing the Chris Eubank Jr. fight against Canelo, or what happened with that?
I don't think it was ever realistic this time round. I think there was a lot of talk, and negotiating, helping the Belanga negotiation. We're promoters as well. It's never easy when you're only negotiating with one opponent. Makes it a lot tougher to make a fight. You're not in the best position. I don't think, and I said this earlier, if I was representing Chris Eubank Jr., I don't think that the Canelo fight necessarily right now is the right fight for him to do.
Yeah.
I think the Conor Benn fight makes the most sense in terms of, and I'd say this to Conor Benn's 147 will be coming up to 160. In terms of challenge, the challenge is the reward. The Conor Benn fight is a huge fight for Chris Eubank Jr. So I think that's the fight you should focus on. Doesn't take away from the Canelo fight happening in time. Canelo Alvarezs isn't going anywhere. He's still a massive name in the sport. He's still delivering huge numbers. That fight will be there next year. So if you can go away and get a big win against someone, that would be the route. But again, I can't. I'm in the middle. Obviously, promote Conor Benn family with Chris Eubank Jr. So I'm there in my half and half scarf when that happens, and we'll see what happens.
I love that. And what about, some people were talking about potentially a Terrence Crawford versus Canelo fight. Would you want to see that fight? Do you think that's something that could ever happen?
Yeah, not after Israel Madrimov does the job on him.
Ooh.
No, but look, it's a tremendous fight. Canelo against Terrence Crawford would be an amazing fight. But they've both got what they're focusing on now, and that's another fight that can happen in time for sure.
What's the best advice you and Eddie have been giving Israel Madrimov leading up to this fight against somebody like Terrence Crawford and his skill level?
I'll be honest with you, I am not the boxing expert around here. I don't tell him what to do. He knows 100 times more than me about boxing, Israel Madrimov. Look, they're very relaxed individuals. All of those guys, Shakram Giasov, MJ Akmadaliev, Jalalov, who's signed to Top Rank as well. They've done this their whole life. They're very calm. This is what this is all they know, and all they want to do is get in there and fight. So he's not going to be fazed by the occasion, because a lot of people think, although Israel Madrimov isn't a global star, maybe in Uzbekistan he's a superstar. Like when you go there with them, you go to sold out venues. You get to the airport. There's people waiting outside the airport. These guys are superstars. So he's not fazed by the occasion. This will be normal to him. So I think that's the key, is just staying calm. But he does that on his own.
What would be your dream matchup to see in boxing?
Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury.
Oh, that would be a great one. And who do you think would win that one?
Anthony Joshua by knockout.
Anthony Joshua. What about for the Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois? Who do you got for that?
Anthony Joshua by knockout.
Oh, okay, of course you're going to. Of course, Anthony Joshua. And my last question for you, talking a little bit about fights. You just brought up Tyson Fury. What are your thoughts on the rematch against Alexander Usyk in December? What do you think Tyson Fury has to do to beat Usyk this time?
I think Alexander Usyk is an unbelievable fight. What he's done at cruiserweight, what he's done at heavyweight, what he's done as an amateur, 200-odd fights or whatever it was. It's a hard task for Tyson Fury. But I do believe that all of them on their best night can beat each other. And that's why we love heavyweight boxing. But you got to say that Alexander Usyk's the favourite going into that fight. When AJ fought Alexander Usyk, Usyk never really had AJ hurt like he had Fury hurt. Mm-hmm. Fury's got an amazing, you can't really write Fury out, like his ability to recover in multiple fights. Now the Wilder fights, that Usyk fight is quite unbelievable, especially for a man of his size. But it's a great fight, and there'll be intrigue because Tyson was winning the fight up until probably 7 rounds, something like that. So he's got the ability, but at the same time, Usyk always finds a way. And he's done that throughout his career, cruiserweight, heavyweight, and as an amateur. But it's why people are intrigued, because anyone can win. But I believe Anthony Joshua beats everyone.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. It's been great talking with you. This was our very first interview. Many more to come, Francisco. And any last words for all the fight fans watching? Anything else you want to share, or any reason why everyone should stay tuned to this Saturday? It will be live on a bunch of stuff, DAZN, ESPN, anywhere else I'm forgetting?
Everywhere, but live on DAZN pay-per-view. Muchas gracias, mi hermanos. Hasta luego. Buenas noches.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
That's Francisco's goodbye.
Francisco's goodbye. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Aaliyah.
Francis.